Today we are discussing two-wheeler prices, and things have become very expensive in the past 3-4 years. Prices for two-wheelers has gone up by 30 to 40%. काफी महंगा हो गया यार.
Just look at the 390 Duke. I mean, at one point in time, it was brilliant performance,
Now
brilliant
it's
price. But now,
But luckily, in the last 1 week, we had some good news. Ather and KTM has dropped prices of their two-wheelers, and this has made premium two-wheelers much more affordable. So now
I think they took a leaf out of Honda's book, because remember the CB300F? It had such fantastic pricing when it came out, and it received such a great response that Honda thought, let's reward our customers by slashing the prices down by another 50,000 rupees.
So never buy the first lot of Honda.
Also, remember the last lot of the Honda CB500X as well as the KTM 790 Dukes, the last remaining stocks, went down by significant margins.
That was more of a distress sale kind of a thing.
Yeah, the CB is...
Whatever. But Ather has dropped the prices for the 450X and KTM has dropped the prices for the 390 Adventure by introducing the X variant. And I think that's a great approach that two-wheeler manufacturers are taking. I think you need to create a cheap variant of an expensive motorcycle.
Accessible. Accessible.
It won't be cheap, but at least you can think of buying something. Like a 250 Adventure buyer now can think of upgrading to a 390 Adventure.
Sure. So, we've already done a video on the KTM 390 Adventure X, and that should be on the channel right now. But let's start with the Ather. The best part about the Ather 450X now, not the one with the Pro Pack, is that it packs the same performance, same range, claimed range, at almost 45,000 rupees less than before. And the compromise is not there in terms of range, it's not there in terms of performance, it's not there in terms of ride and handling, but it's there in terms of features.
And that's a great way of approaching things. And what they have dropped is the console and the connected features.
And not entirely also.
Not entirely. You still have a lot of features. But still most of the so-called expensive features are gone.
Like hill hold is gone. You don't really need it. You've got legs for that. Reverse mode is gone.
You got legs for that.
You've got legs for that. Console is a monotone console, not color. It's okay. Navigation, okay. That might have been a little useful.
So that's a great thing. I think in terms of the compromise that they have made on the features, that makes a lot of sense, because in the end of the day, you buy an electric scooter for commuting, from taking it from point A to point B. And for an electric two-wheeler, the most critical aspect is the range. And with the Ather, the another critical thing was its performance. So now you have the performance, you have its brilliant handling and the range. And what you're missing out is a bunch of features, and that is something you can live with. And that's a great way of... The biggest problem with the Ather as a brand was, we loved it. For us, it's one of the best electric scooters on sale. But the asking price was so high that even if someone was planning to buy an electric two-wheeler, the price was so high, it never came into
It made it only for those pure die-hard ones, and it was amongst the most expensive EVs on sale. I think only the Chetak and the Vida.
Depending on which state you buy, that's a lot complicated thing. But still, it's one of the most expensive.
But now, it's become so affordable that it is on par with the TVS iQube S, as well as few versions of the Ola S1. In fact, it is more affordable than the S1 Pro now.
So I think now Ather will gain a lot of sales number. But it is not perfect. There are two big problems.
Because they've reduced on features and stuff, so you don't get auto hill hold and everything and all. But charging times have increased dramatically. And that is because it's not using the 15 amperes charger that you get with the Pro Pack. It's gone for a more simpler version. And charging times are now 0 to 80 is 12 hours. I mean, with the Pro Pack, the charger that you get over there, that charging time is around 4.5, 5 hours. So that 8.5 hours, I can have a proper nap in it.
So I think, Jan, the charging time should have been around 10 hours. I think 10 hours is still fine.
8 hours, 7 hours.
I sleep a lot, so I'm a bit more...
You can clearly see who the senior one is.
Umar ho gayi hai hamari to. Like 10 hours would have made it a better sense. Now, because of the high charging time, it won't be too popular with, say, a delivery boy who is out there, or small scale industry user who want to do some kind of other delivery. Because the charging time now is around 15 hours, and that's
full
a
charge.
lot of time. You cannot have an electric scooter with 15 hours of charge.
And the bigger issue here is that the new 450X cannot use the Ather grid. I mean, Ather's fast charging network is probably the best amongst all the established EV manufacturers.
Thing that's functional. Let's be honest.
They are functional.
Other brands haven't done anything.
And Ather could charge these more affordable 450X users a nominal fee or somewhat to use these Ather grids and make it functional.
This would have added to the revenue of Ather. So please, Ather, do something. Luckily, they have a briefing session for journalists, I think end of this month or early next month, where they will interact with us and try to understand and kind of
why
explain
the changes are done. And Tarun Mehta also came onto Twitter and said that, yeah, they've noted this thing, that they are also not liking the charging times and all. But the fix for it won't be 5K, 6K. It might just be 10K, 12K.
Chale, 10 hours, 10K makes sense.
But this sort of compromise is something which I rather like, rather than what TVS and Ola have done with the other thing, because TVS and Ola might provide the same features, but they are compromising on performance and more importantly on range. And range anxiety is one of the biggest issues in EV adoption in India, at least for now. And you don't want a scooter with lesser range.
Yeah.
So Ather is doing the right thing by offering the same motor and same battery.
Yeah, I think even TVS and Ola have to learn from this and maybe introduce a variant where the hardware is the same and you just fiddle around with the features.
I mean, we are still waiting for the ST.
Yeah. Like in terms of the hardware, for example, the 390 Adventure, if it had a drop in performance, like instead of 45 horsepower, I was getting 35 horsepower, but I had the separate function forks, I had the traction control, I had the quick shifter, that wouldn't have been a great deal.
300 Adventure.
Whatever, but still.
Oh, that means the Dominar's engine in it.
But the thing is, they maintain the engine. The DNA of the 390 is still there and they removed the electronics, they've removed the features. And something that I always have a point is, why do you need electronics in a motorcycle under 50 horsepower? You don't need traction control.
Okay, here goes his rant.
Because if you can't ride a motorcycle with 50 horsepower without traction control, then you should not ride first and foremost, or you should improve your riding skills. Or buy a motorcycle which is less on power, improve your skills, scale up. But you don't need a traction control or quick shifter to be a good rider.
Okay. I agree with him to the last point. Ki buy a bike where you can learn and improve your skills so that you will be able to make better use of the power that is available. But electronic aids, I still feel on the RC390, for instance, traction control is a necessary thing. Because remember when I was chasing you during our RR310 RC390 shoot, the traction control was what was keeping me in touch with you.
But why was I quicker? Because I had better tires. The road files on the RR310 allowed me to carry better lead. I was in contact with the ground. I didn't want traction control. I didn't want cornering edges. I didn't want anything. The better tires, dude, that is all you need.
Yeah, you need better tires, and I don't know why KTM didn't just give those W-rated Metzeler's right from the start. I mean, even the boys who went for the RC Cup, they were complaining about it. Anyways, cheap Indian fixes are there. TVS tires as well as Apollos, you can get them. But traction control as an aid is just like a safety net cast at the backwards. He is there just to save your butt when the time comes to.
I'll give you one example. When Mick Doohan was asked by a reporter that modern MotoGP bikes have so many electronics and they are riding so fast and everything, Mick Doohan had answered that he also had traction control when they raced, and the reporter was like, how? And then he just showed his right wrist and said this was traction control, and that stands true now also.
But look at MotoGP nowadays, no? Everything is so much electronics based.
So yeah, exactly. Those are 300 horsepower motorcycles. Now you have a 50 horsepower.
Okay, we are straying from the topic.
Okay, yeah,
anyways, motorcycles becoming affordable or more accessible versions of motorcycle. Do you think of any other examples?
So great example of that is Royal Enfield. So Royal Enfield has two different approaches. They have that MIY program.
Correct.
Where it allows the customer to customize the motorcycle based on their needs in terms of accessories, in terms of how the motorcycle
even
will look.
In colors.
So that's a great approach of personalizing your motorcycle and also keeping the cost in check. Another great example is that of the Classic 350. They didn't go for a cheaper Classic 350 in the J platform. What they did was they made a Hunter 350, a completely different motorcycle which is much more affordable, much more accessible. And I think that's a great approach by Royal Enfield.
Similar with the Himalayan and the Scram, because the Himalayan, as great as it is, the Scram is a more easier to ride motorcycle, a more livable motorcycle for a wider variety of audiences. And those who are not too keen on adventure, get the scram, like we said.
And
earlier.
even TVS has the same thing with the Apache RR310. You have the base RR310.
That is the other way around, though,
and you go
right?
with the BTO.
Yeah, so it's like you have a premium version and then you add on to it. So the pricing goes up rather than down.
But you are giving options to the buyer. So the whole idea is you give the option to the buyer. And our thing is make a more affordable variant or the cheaper variant, affordable variant. I think that is making a lot of sense. Car guys do a lot in the car.
Yeah, exactly. So you get the same basic car and then the different variants are all the fancy features like sunroof. I don't know why you need a sunroof. Or a fancy console or whatnot and stuff.
So I think for two-wheeler manufacturers, especially the premium brands, they need to adopt this.
Would we see more in the near future?
I think this will be the trend in the future of making something much more affordable. That will bring a bigger audience into the brand and then eventually better sales number.
Sure. So what do you think about this approach from KTM and Ather, and should more motorcycle manufacturers adopt this? Do let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like this sort of video, do drop a thumbs up. And anything else they need to do?
Do you guys really think you need traction control under 50 horsepower?
Yes.
Tell me in the comments.
Some bikes you do, not on the let it be.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you for watching.